too? No. Okay. That's a little big for my taste. So, you know, today I'm working on bug 168. So we have about 174 bugs filed now, and the first 167 are fixed. And 168 was being annoying. And it goes back to something that I did on stream a long time ago. Oh, before we do anything, let me update the compiler, because I was working on things at the office. Update the compiler and rebuild the compiler. Oh, I guess I didn't. Oh, I didn't check it in because it wasn't done. Right. Okay. Someone is asking what I think about the Handmade Hero episode, the 30 million line problem. It's a good episode, and it's very true. The more lines of code you have, the more problems you have. That's one reason why, amongst all this refactoring that I've been doing, I've been trying to make the compiler smaller, or at least, you know, keep it as small as it was. Oh, it's two of the same. So if I run a line count right now, we're at 42,132 lines. Which is annoyingly bigger than it was yesterday. I think a programmer who was not me added some things. Oh, here's a backup file, for example. Let me delete that. See, we're counting things that are not in the actual project. That's not a huge file, but yeah, 41462. That's about what I expected it to be. So, you know, we're around 40,000 lines, not counting new lines and comments, or not counting blank lines and comments, which for a compiler with this much functionality is pretty small. You know, compilers like LLVM are all like 2 million lines, and like GCC is like 15 million lines or something absurd. And so we're a fraction of that size. Now, we don't do everything that those compilers do either. But part of the thesis is we don't need to do a lot of the things that they do. And we'll see over time how that bears out. But also we're small just because we adopt a coding philosophy that leads to less code than a lot of people do. And that's a good thing. I would be much, much happier if I could do the same amount of functionality in 20,000 lines. But I don't think... Maybe that's possible. Maybe if I was a much smarter person than I am, I would know how to do that by now. But I don't. So I'm always just working to keep it as small as I can. You want to get into game development? Is it better to do it as a side project or to save money and go full time? I would at least do it as a side project for a little bit, because... Well, I don't know. I don't know what's better. It's a complicated question. It depends on what you're trying to make and things like that. Hey, I'm only 16 and taking a Java class. If you know, could you explain to me what's the point? I don't know. And how would I go about making many different class files and not just having it in .java file? I don't know anything about the way Java divides things into files or whatever. I am a fan of putting things into one file, though. I don't like programming styles that explode things into a zillion files, because I think having things in a lot of files makes them harder to understand and harder to mentally track. So I'm actually on your instructor's side here. I think you should be doing everything in a file, in one file. Okay. Now, the thing I wanted to do today I want to undo something that I actually did on stream a long time ago. I forget when. It was probably late last year sometime or mid last year. And we were doing a thing where I was revamping polymorphism. It might have been in February when this comment was written. Anyway, there was a thing where I was refactoring the way polymorphism works. And I wanted people to be able to say type of in a declaration. So I can show you an example of that. So here we have a thing that makes an iterator, and we're saying, okay, it takes a pointer to this thing called bucket array as an argument, and it returns a bucket array iterator that takes whatever the type of that argument is. Now, why do we say this here, type of array? Well, it's because we don't actually know exactly what the type of array is, because bucket array here is actually a polymorphic type. And when you call this, this gets filled in with something more specific, right? So if we go up to bucket array, this is a struct, but the struct has parameters, right? And to make it into a concrete type, you need to know, well, what is this and how many items per bucket, right? What are we putting in the bucket? And how many of those do we put in each bucket? And then, we have this bucket type that also takes parameters, and it's got some arrays and so forth, right? So going back to this iterator make, what this says is, well, it's any bucket array is valid here. Any choices of those parameters is a valid bucket array. And we want to return the iterator for whatever that type was. And we didn't name the type. We could have. We could have said, something there. But this is a valid way of expressing that. And so we had this problem that came from the way things were internally represented. Well, if you say type of something, the way this type was encoded contained the pattern matching for the polymorph variables. I mean, you would have to go back to watch I'm not going to fully explain it, but like this type of started to cause variables to be matched, which shouldn't actually happen, right? This is not, this does not help determine the type of the array. It's just saying, I want to know the type of the array. I don't want to affect the type of the array. Whereas this affects the type of the array, right? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So to do that, we did this nutty thing where if we get a query on what's the type of something and it's a polymorphic type, we do this thing where we like copy the whole subtree of what that type is and set this clear $ thing that goes and strips out all the pattern matching from the tree. And this is not good for performance, which is maybe not that bad because you don't necessarily say type of that often, but it's structurally complex because what this copier does is really complicated. And then we have to do this force infer, and that's really not a good thing either. And then to try to adapt this to make it more robust involves adding a lot more code here that's scary and confusing. And so what I want to do is just solve this problem a different way. There are multiple different ways we could solve the problem. One would be to just fundamentally change the way pattern matching works so that it doesn't have this problem. But I haven't thought much about that, and I don't really know. So the other way is to make a type that says, well, if you're pattern matching through this tree of types, then when you get to this node, just turn off pattern matching for the subtree and then turn it back on, when you continue. Now, back when I did this instead, I didn't want to do that because it sounded a little bit scary or more complicated. But I was thinking about it today and I was like, it's actually not more complicated. It's actually probably a better way to do it. Does any of that make sense? Any questions about what I've just been saying? Will the compiler be released to the plebs this year? It will be released to at least some subset of people. And then we'll go. I had originally wanted that to be by now, but it's just as we started doing internal work, making things more robust, it's always seemed like a better idea to me to keep making it more robust. So I don't want to release something broken that people have a bad time with. So we have not yet opened to our initial round of people, but I'm hoping to get there soon. Would this be the same as doing array $t / pointer bucket array iterator t? It would be almost the same as that, except that slash notation that you mentioned doesn't really handle pointers right now. It just handles, you can't say / pointer bucket array. That doesn't work. Especially lexically /* is a comment. So think about that. But, even if that weren't, that matching facility is very limited right now. You could say pointer $t / bucket array. That would work. Yeah. So the thing you typed in chat wouldn't exactly work, but you could say this. Array pointer $t / bucket array. So what that means is match some type t, and it has to conform to bucket array, right? And then you could say t here, right? And that would solve this problem. I wouldn't end up doing this type of and this copying and stuff. But this is supposed to be valid, and we need to make this work also. This might even be more readable. It might be preferable. I don't know. But this is supposed to work. Because especially this might not just be type of array. It could be, type of array dot bucket or something, right? Like this could be a pretty complex expression in here. And so, which is not really expressible here, although maybe it would be. Here, I guess you could just say t.bucket. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't change the fact this is supposed to work. And we have to make it work. In 2018, what is the point of learning C when you have C++? Well, I think if you were going to learn C++, that's very daunting because it's super complex and crazy. So learning C as a baseline would certainly be a good way to learn C++, I think. Would I say my language is more or less intuitive than C++? Much more intuitive, in my opinion. Of course, you don't have anyone else to listen to. Have we made anything besides the Sokoban game and the slideshow program? There's the Braid launcher. There's a few other programs that people have written that Josh and Abner have written as well. There's a snake game. Let's see if we can... I think if I say run tests here, it compiles everything, including like the snake game and whatever. So is it in examples? I've never run any of these. Oh, this one doesn't work on my machine. The OpenGL doesn't work. The shader is... Oh, maybe I have to be in... I have to be in the folder. These were just some things that these guys made, just to play around. And, we're putting the libraries through their paces a little bit, just to make sure different people can use the libraries and so forth. Okay, so that's a snake game. Very exciting. That's what's Blobman. Oh, dude. There's no ghost chasing me. And I feel like that background is a copyright violation. But, you know, it is what it is. So we have that. White's turn. Black's turn. I don't know. White's turn. These are weird icons, but okay. Can you tell that I'm no good at chess? That's the queen, I guess. That's the king. Anyway. Did you ever play Chess Rogue? That's pretty good. I mean, for what it is. It didn't get carried out to the full potential. But yeah. Do we have a thing to handle timing? What do you mean by a thing? Certainly we handle timing all the time. Oh, does this have music? Am I gonna... Let me see. I've got... Oh geez, we're gonna get banned from YouTube now. We're gonna get muted. Sorry. What are the most challenging issues so far to solve when designing and developing a compiler? Figuring out how to implement all of the language feature set in a way that doesn't produce a giant mess. Okay, anyway, so we have some programs there. You know, none of those are giant programs, but you know, they're a bit of a spread. And of course, there's a slideshow program and that kind of things. Is it 1 hour now on YouTube? Oh, does Twitch live mute now? I hope not. I better not be muted. All right. So let's get back to what we're talking about. So this thing, this clear dollar signs, I want to go away. So if it's polymorphic, I don't want to do any of this stuff. In fact, I want to get rid of clear dollar signs from copier. We're not going to clear dollar signs anymore. Okay, so that was good. Now, so if it's polymorphic, we're going to say, we're going to make a new type definition, and we're going to give it a new field. We're going to say front arrow doesn't really matter what I name it because I can name it anything I want later. It's just I'm trying to come up with a good name initially. This is going to be the thing that tells the type pattern matcher to turn off matching in the subtree. So we're going to say turn disable matching in this subtree is going to be result, and now result is front, right? So we're making a new type, and there we go. Now, one does not simply, well, first of all, got to add that field to this thing that already has a ton of fields. Yeah. I copy this name. Equals front. No, not front. No. So we have a new field. Now, there are certain operations that happen. So for example, we were just in copier. Sometimes we copy type definitions like right here. And when we do that, we need to copy that field. Sometimes we flatten type definitions, which is a way, we might get rid of flattening later because I'm not sure I like it, but it's a way of putting everything in an array so that it makes it easy, ostensibly easy, to visit everything in order to infer it. So here also, we've got to do that member. In messaging, for messaging, we're going to filter these out. Whoops. This is the thing that makes the user-facing type info pointer that you see in the rest of the program. And, you know, when you say type info of something, I think that we just want it to be essentially aliased for these two things because they're the same type, right? One of them is just like a little header structure. So what do we do here? We say, what does start do? Oh, I forgot to do something. Do it while I'm forgetting. So anytime we make a new node, it's a good idea to do this. Just in case there's an error message. This says what file name and line number things are at. So when we create this, it's like, okay, wherever that type of query is where this is going to be. So here we're going to say, I think it's called expression, right? Source exp. Source exp. And I'm going to say while defen arrow, whatever this name was that I picked, disable matching in this subtree. Oh, if, we're going to say if this, then we send the message for that. auto node is do export of this, right, and is header and return node, right? Oh, but then so this type info gets exported and then we store it on here so we don't have to do that again. And we're just going to copy this guy's type over, this guy's type info over to me. Okay. So, whoops. Yeah, yours get muted because you sit around and listen to music the whole time. Bummer. Well, we have an HTTP library. Undoubtedly, we will have one eventually. Initially, we probably won't make our own, but we'll probably ship with bindings for somebody's HTTP library. It just won't be native code. Is my mic in the frame now? Oh no, that's terrible. But it probably leads to good sound. Better sound. Better sound. Okay. So, I just opened a folder I don't want to open. All right. There are other things that I have to do. I'm going to forget something, but there's a routine that queries whether things match. There's types match exactly and baked literals match exactly. I assume baked literals match exactly just calls types match exactly. Yeah, here. Okay, so this looks at two things and says, hey, are they the same? And I guess it does that. So we add them to the type table and then we see if their type info is the same. So the thing that we just did, which makes their type info the same, should have handled this. Okay, so let's just see if we compile. We haven't actually solved the problem yet because we haven't told the type matching system to use this, but that's fine. We actually compiled. Okay. If we try to build Sokoban, it's not going to build though, right? Yeah. Attempt to call translate type on a type that is in progress. Yeah, I mean, so when you use a quick lambda, it makes a type of this giant thing. And I don't know exactly why that's producing this particular error, but it's no surprise that something bad would happen. No surprise whatsoever. Why is Twitch popping up notifications when streamers go live? I'm glad Captain Squishy enjoyed Braid. It's definitely good to hear from people when they had a good time with a game. Yeah, this language is very different from Rust, for sure. Does it panic or seg fault on memory error? What is a seg fault? Is a panic? So I'm not sure what you mean. The compiler is 100% in C++ right now. Does each lambda have its own unique type? No. No. Every procedure is, type matching. The types of two procedures will match if they have the same argument types and the same return types and the same other qualifiers, like, what's the calling convention and stuff. Then the types will match. It doesn't matter if it's a so-called lambda or not. We don't care. Is it memory safe? No, this is not a memory safe language. None of the programmers that I talk to want a memory safe language. Do you need to learn programming to create a video game? Not strictly. You could pick up a thing like Unreal and Unity and sort of stumble your way through making things happen. It's just harder. And you may not get the result that you want in the end, and it may not be very robust, but you can definitely, there are definitely teams that don't have official programmers that manage to sort of make games. We don't do closures that capture the lexical scope yet, but that's in the plan. It is, however, not a high priority because there are much bigger features still to implement. How do we handle errors and exceptions? Is there a try-catch statement? No, you return error return values. Okay. So now I start to do the thing that will reveal whether this was a good idea or not. What was my, okay, disable matching in this subtree. So we have this thing called check that types match. And here's the main version. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is say if wanted is this. We need to do a symmetric thing where we check both wanted and given. So if wanted is one of these types where we want to disable matching, then we say we're going to save this value and restore it, and then we're going to set it to false. Saving it, setting it to false, doing some stuff, and then restoring it, right? And the thing that we're going to do is we're going to say check that types match with, instead of wanted, this thing, right? Given site. I'm not completely sure whether switchable expression wanted and given should be passed, but I think so. I think so. Okay, that's all. And then, whoops, result. There we go. And then we do the same thing for given. Now, I've just realized I forgot some things. So we're making this new type. I have to flag this type as polymorphic. So that people know what's going on there. I had thought in my head that there was something else I need to do, and now I don't remember what that would have been. Oh. We might have a type that already has disable matching set, in which case we don't want to keep pasting them on. Well, okay. Cannot be modified because it is being accessed through a const object. Well, bite me. Let's not use it. We're just gonna do. Well, in theory, that is the basic implementation, and it is cleaner than the other thing. But I haven't yet run it and had it fail on me and seen why it fails. So who knows? It might get arbitrarily complicated from here. Let's see what happens. Same issue. Same issue. Let's see if it compiles bug 168 before we go working on the whole. No, okay. That could be a different problem though. Okay, let's not worry about that. Let's get Sokoban working. So attempt to call translate type. So that is here, and we're going to set a breakpoint there, and do we have abstract types? What do you mean by abstract type? Okay. Yep, so like I said, for the quick lambda, we say type of the body. Instead of doing that, that's another thing I could clean up. I bet I could put an extract there if I want to. I'm going to put on this list quick lambda uses okay. Question mark. Question mark. We don't know if it should. Okay, so we're going through all the return declarations, in which case there's only one here, right? Yep, one. And we're calling translate type. And it says in progress. Let's see if that's true. So in progress is supposed to be avoiding revisiting something recursively, because we're navigating a data structure and sometimes it could have, you know, DAG-like behavior where or cyclical things. And this is a safeguard against that. So the question is, what the hell's going on? Translate type. Okay. When we say in progress, what does that mean? Okay, so we set this flag and then we defer clear the flag, and that's the only place we set it. Okay. So well, we call a bunch of things. But it looks like there shouldn't really be a case, because we set it and then defer clear it here. Let me find that spot again. Whoops. We set it and defer clear it before we return. So unless we did something really bad, the only time when this should be set is if this is on the stack above us. And this procedure is translate type. And we don't have any back here, so it's really only these. So this is... Okay, this is weird because this is the wrong error. We need to check this before we set translate type, because this is going to go off, or before we set in progress, this is going to go off anytime that we get here. Right? All that's happening is I forgot to add a case. This is supposed to translate any type of type definition. And that thing that I did in Messenger, I need to do an equivalent thing here. Then in fact, why do I just do it, not do it here instead of Messenger? I don't know. Anyway, so this has to move. This is nonsensical. Whoops. Please don't edit my program, Visual Studio. This is nonsensical. This has to go up here, right? Or something. I mean, maybe this will cause more problems, but this is just for developers anyway. So if I have to comment this out in the short term, it's no big deal. Okay. Now, when we get down to the bottom, let's go back to Messenger and look at what we did there. When we have a type definition, we do want to do it this way. So this thing here is just a way of associating these comments so that I know that they have to do with a similar topic. Okay. If this Okay, so if we have this guy add that type, or make sure he's added, because we'll return if he's already added. And then we make our type info, that guy's type info, and then we return. And this is debug builds. Let's build release build. Because we're going for it, man. Going for it. Oh, it compiled and it ran. Oh boy. That is major. That is major. That doesn't solve everything, but like, wow. If that actually worked, we removed a substantial wrinkle from the compiler. I mean, it worked well enough to run the, because when things go that well, I never can believe it. So let's make sure. 7:10 p.m. So yes, it did compile that. Okay, let's try this. Let's do the limited test suite here. Nope. Circular dependencies. Interesting. The program contains circular dependencies. Why would that happen? Well, let's see. We're not out of the woods yet. It doesn't really contain circular dependencies, which is probably why we didn't output what the dependencies were. If there was a legit circular dependency, oh, we've already got a problem. Is this a force infer problem? This is a force infer problem. I started doing a bunch of code for this at the office today, and then I didn't check it in. But this was one of the motivations, let's say, behind not frickin' doing this way. I don't know. Now we're out in the weeds here because now I have to do a separate solution to this. And yeah, okay. Let's see what it's complaining about, at least. This is on line 34 of bucket array. Oh, it's the same old thing. This is the same thing I was working on in bug 168. So this is no surprise. It is unhappy. Basically, it's a struct that contains another struct, and when you polymorph one of the structs, well, let me try my super. Yeah. I'm going to put a super gross hack here. I'm not going to try to solve this actual problem yet because I'm going to write it down because solving getting rid of this force infer is one of my ultimate objectives, but it's a different problem than the one that I want to attack right now, which is changing the type matching. And so I don't want to go down a rat hole of different problems because that'll defocus me. So I will be work around uninferred substructs if we are okay, so if we don't have an inferred type, and then how do we know it's for a struct? Well, whatever. We're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. I'm going to put this into my to-do to keep me honest that we want to get rid of that. Now, what do we do to work around this? This could infinite loop. It really could. Anyway, force infer struct. So we do that. Actually, no, we don't need that. I don't know exactly what I need to do here because it's a stupid hack. Actually, I don't think I want to put this here. I think I want to put this. It's dumb to be thinking this much about the stupid hack. I'd rather be working on the real problem. But sometimes this is how it goes. Sometimes you have to go work on the stupid hack. So here we sort of go through all the members of the struct, and we do stuff to them. And instead of doing this here, in principle, I can sort of do it here. I don't actually know if this is the right place for it, but let's try something here. So if we didn't infer this guy, I'm not sure that this is the right check, but I'm going to want to set a breakpoint here anyway. Well, let's just see, you know, I'm going to make this compile, but then I'm going to set a breakpoint like there and just see if we get there. We don't get there. Actually, well, where was my breakpoint? Yeah, we don't get here. We do get here. So you know what? Screw it. We're going to do it here, where I originally thought. That was at line. No. No, not this one. Not this one. This one. Okay. We're just going to set a breakpoint there. And just see, okay. It is a procedure call. We get the call. We do have an inferred type, which is true. This has to, if it's one of these that we're looking for, this has to be set. I happen to know that. Can't explain why. Has to do with the way we generated it. We should really check the substitution. No. The inferred type is going to be type def type, right? Yeah. So we know it's a type. We don't know what type it is. And in fact, the whole reason we're doing this is because we don't know the value. So there's no more information for us to have here. We do, however, have inferred types for all our arguments, I think. So instead of doing this, well, we'll do this. We'll check for procedure expression inferred type and force infer structs. Okay, so if all of that, then what? Well, let's just see what happens there. Does this succeed or not? It does. Okay. So then, now we have an inferred type because we set it. So now we can just go. Now we're having a different problem. I was seeing this at work too. Man, I didn't check in any of that stuff that I did today. That's pretty terrible. So we're trying to sleep. Okay. So this procedure call got a substitution, but the substitution didn't get its inferred type set. So we just have to figure this out. So in general, when I make one of these, I should be setting the type to type def type. And when I put a substitution on this guy should have it set. And that ain't happening. So let's just do that. I'm going to run this for a second and heat up some more tea. This could take some time because the debugger putting in a breakpoint like that really can get slow. Any questions about what the hell is going on? Tea water is taking a long time. Tea water is taking a long time. Do I have practices for keeping all the components of a language game organized in my head? No, I just try to make it in such a way that it's not that hard to remember, but you try to make it as simple as possible, which is usually just a good rule generally. Oh, it's a type leaf. Okay, well. I guess I only started getting strict about this recently, which is why these guys don't do it. These are the things created by the compiler at startup. Now that may not actually fix the problem, but it'll at least make it a little different. What kind of tea is it? Well, the water just boiled. We're doing Bengal spice tea now, but I started the stream with decaf Earl Grey. Would it be possible to compile time assert for a function's purity? Yes, it would. Would you say developing a new language in compiler is a good way to upgrade programming skills? Maybe. It depends on where your skills are. Like doing a thing that is just slightly more challenging than you know how to deal with is a good way to expand your skills. Okay. We appear to have gotten further to a totally different place. This is an LLVM thing. So the LLVM backend might be getting confused by the fact that we have more than one type. Let's just see. CD, 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 CD. Great. It is uninitialized. Well, if this position in buffer is consistent every run, let's see if that's the case, then we could break and when that gets added and see what the hell is going on there. I didn't write the LLVM backend, so I am at a disadvantage when trying to debug there. No, it's at a different offset. Okay, well, we're just going to assert. Okay. Let's go look at where things get added there. Deferred type info. Oh. Oh. What? There shouldn't be any deferred type info pointers, bro. Those should be done. Right? Now I don't even remember if I wrote this code or not. Maybe I did. Probably I did. Ugh. Okay, well. Okay, wait, what? So this info is uninitialized. Really? Okay. Well, that's pretty easy then. Unless we have a really weird memory corruption, we should be able to say of course, they're probably going to force me to cast that, right? All right. There we go. That's good, because now we get to see where this is happening from. Emit static array of uncompleted type infos. Okay. Well, I'm going to write down that I have to email people about this LLVM deferred type info, because I think that might have been in there to work around a bug or something. Okay, let me turn on a light in here. It's getting dim. It's getting so very dim. Come on, light. Is this thing on? There it is. Okay. I hate not knowing which outlets are powered. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. Is null a type? No, null is not a type anymore. Actually, There is a special type for null right now, but I was thinking of getting rid of it. Actually, I did get rid of it. Never mind. So the type of null is void pointer right now. Okay, so this is all very fishy in general, but so for every type info, so this guy is uninitialized, but this guy, there's two uncompleted type infos. I don't understand. And they're both OXCD, CD, CD, CD. What the hell? Yeah. So if I do a comma 2 here, these are indeed, well, yeah, I mean, you see the first 2 bytes are CD, so yeah. Is that true for the return types? No. Okay, so where is this procedure coming from? I believe that I have a way to do a reverse lookup. Yeah. I have this type info. This guy that I have is in that array somewhere, presumably. And then I can get to the language's type definition in a parallel array. Okay, so interp type table type defins dot data 146. This should be a procedure type, which we will know because it has, yeah, it has 2 arguments and so forth. Okay. Why did my argument types they're just like not initialized? This concerns me. Okay, the first argument is a declaration. That's no surprise. They're all declarations. Let's look at what procedure this is, by the way. It's line 1944 of old bugs. That's why it's good to keep your old bugs around. Did I say 1944? Yeah, Nightmare. Oh, remember this. I did a demo that does this. All right, so this is, this is a procedure that's made to give you a hard time. And what we're looking at is not actually the type for this whole thing. We're looking at this first parameter x, which is just a 2-argument procedure. You will note that the first argument of the 2-argument procedure uses a type of, which is suspicious because that's just the thing that we just worked on was type of, right? Right. So how and why is this screwing things up? don't know. Could be something simple. So why are our argument types okay, when this guy gets added to the type table. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We need this to be more reproducible, right? Because when we run a bunch of tests, some of them fire off indeterminately and we don't get the same serial numbers for our internal data structures, right? But if I do this, oh, that didn't work. Oh, interesting. We have to get far enough in the pipe. How do I... There we go. We'll talk about this dash dash in a future demo. Okay, so if I run it just on old... Oh, wait, we don't crash. Interesting. We consistently don't crash. But what if I run it on everything? Then I get circular dependencies. What? This might be something weird about... See, this is funny because I did the important thing. Well, never mind. I was going to say how I spent all the time on the stupid hack. I don't know now. I think I'm off the stupid hack and back on the main thing, actually, now that we're looking at something involving a type of. Okay. This is just weird, though. Well, it seems that more reproducibility is going to be more difficult to get here than just solving the problem for now. So I'll continue to solve the problem. So why is this? I want to break at the point where this is added to the type table. Problem is, this guy's index in the type table may not be the same, and neither may anything be. But the line number for this type definition might not. I mean, that's certainly not going to change, and there might not be anyone else on the same line number. So we're going to go here to the type table, add, and I'm going to say conditions, the line number, and hopefully if it does hit some other positives, we can just skip past them. Hopefully there's not that many. Old bugs. Okay, is this a procedure? Yes, it's our two-argument procedure. So that worked. That was great. So now we're going to translate type, which is supposed to do all the things that need to happen. It's not void. It's not a string. It's not bool. It's not type. It's not any. It's not in progress. Now it is, though. If it's a pointer 2, if it's an enum pointer, if it's a lambda, look, it's a lambda. Okay, procedure, size, count. We get the memory for the argument types. Okay. Oh, when it's this forwarding type, I think we forget to write into this dest pointer. I think that's what's going on, right? It's not a lambda. Yep. I just didn't pay enough attention. See, when you don't edit some code for a while, you're not as fresh on what it requires. And then you spend 20 minutes debugging something that you should have just like, looked, all these others do that before they return. Maybe I should do that before I return. Maybe I should do that before I return. Okay, let's make sure we still build Sokoban, right? And we still run it. That's great. That was true half an hour ago, though, or however long ago it was. Whoops. Yeah. That's what we like to see, 100% success. 100% success. Now we'll run the full tests, including that again, and then Blobman and all this stuff. Chess. Ignacio's stuff. All right, people, that's an official full success. 10 minutes before I needed to finish to go out. So that is significant. That means we successfully cleaned up the ugly hack that involved copying things to remove dollar signs. And we probably were about an equal number of lines of code that we added, but they're simpler. Let's see what our count is. We're maybe a few lines up, increased, but it's a net positive, right? It's less gnarly, it's less scary, it's less crazy. So that is good. Any questions for the next 10 minutes? I guess I will check this in. Remove horrible, dumb, clear dollar signs hack. Now, next time, we'll try to remove force infer structs, or at least, I don't know, we maybe want to keep it in as a fast path, but deal with failure better. We want to remove next time that really dumb hack that I added this time, and we want to do it better, I think. Or maybe not the absolute next time, but sometime soon, because there might be something more interesting for us to work on. How long to compile Sokoban? Well, a long time right now, because we've been letting the compiler get slow. And there's some things I want to do to go back in and make it faster. So, you know, it takes right now 1.8 seconds in LLVM. Or, oh, we also had to switch back to Microsoft's slow-ass linker, which takes, it takes longer because LLD has some mistakes regarding debug info generation. But if I go switch it to x64, it'll go faster. You know, so that's 1.0 seconds. But like I said, that's because we've been letting the compiler get slow. So this front end time is largely unproductive. And so we should be able to cut 0.2 or 0.3 seconds off of this soon, which would take this down to 0.7. And then of that 0.7, 0.45 is the frickin' linker. So, you know, we need to go back and do a speed pass, but yeah. Any estimate for when people get to use this? We're working on it. That, you know, you just saw the thing that I did during this stream was an attempt to get us closer to having the thing work for everybody. Let me, if I'm really being careful, I should do debug build. Let me switch this back to LLVM. I should do debug build and see if it asserts. I should have done that before checking anything in. How do you avoid the web if you need money to pay rent? Well, I'll tell you, there are many, many disciplines in which people get paid a lot more than web people. I mean, you can go to Wall Street and be like a a high frequency trading programmer. Those guys usually don't make websites. I don't know if that's the best thing for you to do with your life, but you could do that. You could go work for Miri. You could go work for SpaceX. Most programmers at SpaceX probably aren't making websites. There's all sorts of cool things you could do. Do we use SSA in the compiler? No, we don't currently. Our internal representation does not do hardly any data flow analysis. And the reason people use SSA is because it facilitates data flow analysis, or at least people think that. I'm not completely convinced, but okay. It's a way of doing data flow analysis. So, we let LLVM do data flow analysis for us right now. But eventually we will have our own. And at that time, we will either do SSA or something else. We might go do old-fashioned def use chains. We might do something else. Any idea when the next compiler demo will be? Not sure. I know what the features are that I want. I just don't know when those will be ready. They're small. They're small features because I've been mostly working on, again, debugging and improving the quality of the compiler internals. Do I prefer to use a makefile or a bat file? Is that a troll question? We don't use either here. We don't use either. Our metaprogram that compiles the program is written in the language itself. That's part of the whole point. I think the web thing is less about making money, but the standards are super low, and so it's easy to get a job. Maybe. But if you want to grow in your skills, and if you want to work on things that are better for the world, probably most jobs that do that are not web jobs. So, I mean, maybe you get a web job while you look for a non-web job, as long as you won't be complacent in that. I don't know. What do I think the next major changes will be? I don't want to give away the surprises before they happen. Sorry. Oh, paying rent as a student. Yeah, if you're a student, you just kind of have to roll with what's available. That is true. But you may be able to get work as a contract programmer on not web stuff. You probably just have to look around a little more. How is my time currently split between compiler work and other work? Well, for the past few weeks, the majority of my time has been on the compiler as I crank through bugs and stuff. I did some work on the game today. Whoops. Let me see if bug 168 is done. Like it should be. No, it still crashes. Okay. So that's now probably the other hack, right? So maybe I could do a stream late tonight where I fix bug 168 by doing a better job on that other hack. So bug 168, not yet fixed. That's fine. How many hours a day can you be in the zone for when you do this kind of work? I have had times when it was very close to every waking hour where I took small breaks to eat and, whatever, but where I was cranking through most of the day. I probably don't do that for more than a week at a time, and I haven't done it in a while. But there have been times when I was super, super, super productive like that, usually when I'm working on something that I'm really excited about. Well, always when I'm working on something I'm really excited about. And usually not at the end of development, because the end of development's kind of a drag. But like toward the early middle part of development, when you've already got something laid out and it's very easy to build new things and see fast results. It's a very easy time to be motivated. How do I motivate myself to finish large projects that take years? You just got to do it, man. I don't know what to say. I will say that as you do projects and are successful at them, it becomes a little easier to do a longer one every time. So just do a few medium projects. And then once you've done those, then you'll be like, oh, this is just like that medium project, but it just takes an extra 4 months. I can handle an extra 4 months. You know, it's like if you're going to lift weights, man, you don't go straight to the really heavy weights. You can't because your muscles aren't there, but you build up the muscles and then you can do it. Of course, I also know people who just jump into doing that projects that have taken longer than the witness now, and they don't seem to mind. So maybe you don't need to slowly build up the muscles, but if you seem to have a hard time with it, you definitely can. Are we still working on the non-puzzle game using the witness engine? Yes, we are. We will have nothing to announce about that for a long time. We did not do a status update. No, this was just a casual, chill programming stream. Do I only stream when you're in the zone? No, in fact, it's hard to get good flow when I'm streaming. It's much harder than when I'm working by myself. So I just stream when I'm motivated to stream. That's the only story. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming by. I'm going to hit the stop button now. Maybe later tonight, depending on how awake I am, I might come back and try to hit bug 168. We'll see. Thanks for stopping by and have a good evening. See you later.